Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Keeping Up with TDX. I am your host, Ethan Cook, here with my lovely guest today, two beautiful seniors in the house, Noah McRoberts,
Hello.
Andrew Dever. How are we feeling today, boys?
Alive
on a Tuesday.
Fighting off a little cold thing that's going around.
I get that. I've already been through that battle. I survived.
Yep.
I made it through the war.
Yep.
But coming out the other side of it. Yeah, it's crazy how Tuesdays here feel like they should be Thursdays, at least to me.
Yeah, it's weird. It's because you only get that schedule twice a week, and so you go through because I think Thursday sticks out more because you usually have like chapel talks, and there's a bunch of events going on Thursday, so Tuesday kind of feels like Thursday.
Yep.
I'm already exhausted, and it's Tuesday afternoon, so ready to roll. All right, so I'm just going to talk we're going to talk about you guys, being seniors. Only got a few weeks left here.
Count down the weekends.
Yep, counting them down. And so maybe some wisdom and things like that that you guys have gained along the way, similar to our episode that we just did with Jared and Miles. Second episode of our Senior Spotlight series. One more on the way after this one.
Sweet.
All right, first question for you guys. How do you guys feel about graduation being on the horizon? What are the emotions? What are the thoughts?
Oh, yeah, I'm taking this one first. I'm super excited. I've loved my 4 years here at Wabash, 3.5 years at Theta Delt. But it's time, right? And I think, I felt this with high school graduation as well, but one day you wake up and you just know, it's been a good 4 years. It's time to move on. So, yeah, I love the guys. I've been able to do a little bit of traveling this semester, going to conferences and meeting with people. But at a certain point, you kind of reach this, limiting reactant on a reaction type situation where you put so much into your education and your clubs and your sports and all that, and now it's time to move on and take on new horizons. So, Cook, I love you, bro, but
I love you too. Hey,
it's time.
I understand. I'll be ready to go too. At my senior, I'm ready to go.
I think my sentiment is largely similar. I'm looking forward to having... I'm excited for the next step, whether it's working a job or I'm still waiting to hear back on a grad program, but the new things ahead, that the post-college time can be one of a lot of new experiences, a lot of doing new things, dipping your toe into the actual responsible adult world, and there's a lot of cool things that can come with that, and so I'm looking forward to that and trying to maximize time here. It's been a semester of counting down the weekends. I remember back in February after Bobby and I went down for his 21st and my 22nd to Kentucky, okay, how many more of these do I have left? And I think we've got a full weekend pretty much here on out. We got Ralph's mother coming up, which has been, it'll be kind of accumulation of, what's a word that means the bringing together of
the totality of your experience.
I'll take totality.
Like a culmination.
That's the word. Culmination. That's what I was looking for. Culmination of a lot of what I've done the last year, playing music with guys like Justin, Mike, Gino, Deacon. So trying to do a lot of those things I'll never get to do again.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So next I'll ask you guys, it's just for the people watching, what is your guys' majors and minors at Wabash?
Yeah, so I'm a history Spanish double major, classics minor. I'm on the pre-law track. So
yeah, I'm religion and classics double major. Andrew and I don't think we ever overlapped in any major classes, but we did have a handful that did overlap otherwise at immersion trip to Greece. So Andrew, Caleb, and Talbot were probably the three guys that I knew before I joined Theta Delt pretty well. Andrew, pretty much since probably your second semester.
Yeah,
once you got out of soccer.
Second semester, freshman year.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you both, Noah, you got distinction in religion, correct? And then, Dever, you got distinction in both history and Spanish.
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
that's incredibly impressive, you guys.
Thank you.
We'll both be walking Summa, so it's pretty cool.
All right, that's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to commencement. It's going to be. I'm gonna try to keep it together. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to try to hold it together.
It's gonna be a cool day. Hopefully, temperature-wise as well.
Hopefully, yeah.
It's usually on the football field. You get the turf. You get May where it's 90 degrees and humidity, and it's pretty brutal usually.
Yeah, I'm hoping for 70.
That would be
70
last year was 70 and cloudy, and it was not that bad.
Yeah,
but couple years in the past. 1 year it poured, and so they had to move it inside. 1 year was like 90 degrees, 95 degrees. So
wow,
it's very dependent.
That's
Indiana.
So, Noah, you've already mentioned your future plans, looking into grad programs, looking maybe go into a job. Not decided on that front yet.
Yeah.
And then, Dever, you said you're pre-law track. Have you fully decided on a law school yet?
Yes. So the law school game is really interesting because, especially with this class, like 25% increase in applications. Schools are increasing their medians for their LSAT, which is the standard law, the law like acceptance test, and GPA as well. Admissions have taken a long time to roll in. I'm happy to announce that at least in a deposit-based capacity, I've accepted and deposited at Texas A&M, which is for undergraduate based out of College Station, but for law schools based out of Fort Worth. So I've put a deposit down there. I'm really excited about the prospects of going there. At the same time, every person's in the same spot where they're still receiving decisions and financial packages, and so things could change. But if they don't, I'll be really happy and excited. I'll go to Texas A&M. I'm unsure of when, because I, like Noah, I'm also waiting on a post-grad program. I'm waiting on the Fulbright. Hopefully we'll hear back on that to do an English teaching assistantship in Spain next year.
That would be cool.
That would be amazing.
That'd be really cool.
Really, foundational experience where I could go and be a part of a different community, teach kids English, and then learn some more Spanish and help develop towards my ultimate aspirations of litigating in English, but also representing clients in English and Spanish. And
that's awesome.
So, as they say, vamos a ver. We'll see. But yeah, I think hopefully that decision will come out favorably in the next week or two.
And then, so how close is Texas A&M Law School to where you're from?
Yeah, it's about 45 minutes. So Fort Worth. I'm from Dallas, Texas originally, Dallas County, on the west side of the county technically, right? So I northwest side, and so it's a little bit closer to Fort Worth. But yeah, we did the drive over spring break. Traffic in Dallas is terrible sometimes, but we didn't run into terrible traffic, and it was 40 minutes. So
how far is College Station from that area?
Many hours. Yeah. I think 4 or 5. Yeah.
Okay, so the law school is pretty far away from the main campus.
And that's just, and there are a lot of reasons for that. The Texas law landscape is new and it's changing. Every year. A&M's only been a law school for about 10 or 11 years at this point.
Wow.
Whereas by comparison, like SMU Law, which I was also fortunate to be accepted into, they've been around for 100 years, right?
Oh wow.
And so you see this like A&M's new on the spot, but they have a really good, undergraduate network, which still runs strong, and they also have financial backing from the university. So they've been doing really well. Rankings just came out today. They're an official top 25 law school, which is a really big deal for them. And their goal, as all Aggies' goals are, is to surpass UT. And UT just got top 14 designation. So they, they're on the right track, and it's going to be. I really think I'm getting in at the right time, and so I'm very fortunate for that. And it's awesome. A lot like Wabash. For those, who have attended Wabash, a really strong alumni network is essential to success for post-grad. It's the same thing at A&M. So both schools might have the C word, the cult designation, which I think is a good thing in that case.
All right, so I mentioned like knowledge or wisdom earlier. What is some knowledge or wisdom about just college in general and life that you've picked up over your 4 years here that you'd want to pass on to some younger guys?
Yeah, I think a couple ones that stick out early to me are kind of like twofold: filling your plate, but then figuring out what to prioritize.
I'm still learning that. Still getting that down.
Because it's I remember back to like sophomore, junior year, and started finally rolling back my activities my junior year because I was involved in everything. I was an RA. I was the head of 2 different clubs. I was calling basketball games. I was working 2 or 3 on-campus jobs between the library, Greek tutoring, Wabash College Video Network with Brent. Doing stuff with Sons of Wabash, like doing everything, writing for The Bachelor. And so at a certain point, I was like, okay, I can't do all of these to my best ability because I only have so many hours in the day. What do I want to prioritize on? So getting out, trying new things, and figuring out what it is that is really valuable to you, I think is one of the biggest things that college, especially Wabash, can do, is give you because you can do almost anything here. You can start up, there's a ski club on campus, there's a fishing club, like there's a bunch of things you can write. You can call basketball games.
Don't forget Lawn Chair Club.
Lawn chair.
Shout out Lawn Chair
You
Club.
can sit on the mall in lawn chairs and have your brew. Like you can. There's so many things, and figuring out which of those is most valuable to you, I think, is the big game of college.
Yeah, my advice also twofold. One, a senior my freshman year put it in a really helpful way. You have 8 semesters, and up until your first semester of your senior year, you should add one meaningful commitment to your plate each semester.
Okay.
So by the time you're going into your senior year, you have a fraternity, right? A couple clubs, a job, 1 or 2 things that are meaningful, maybe not in an academic capacity, but maybe from a philanthropic perspective or from just a social perspective, right? Being part of like a card club, for example, right? Like going and doing something that can help you and enrich your Wabash experience. So for me, right, I was a dual sport athlete my freshman year here and stuck it out with, soccer for all 4 years and joined a fraternity, and now I'm pre-law society president, WDPD senior fellow, like a lot of different things. And I think on Noah's point, it's really important to emphasize for those younger guys who are listening and people at Wabash, et cetera, right? Knowing when to step away, right? I was on the basketball team my freshman year, and it was a great experience, but it became quite clear that for me to achieve academic and, professional success at Wabash, it just wasn't going to be conducive to stay on the team. And it wasn't anything wrong with the team. It was just more of a time commitment issue, right? And putting in 25 to 30 hours, and I knew I wasn't going to be touching the court. I loved it. I loved the sport, but it just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Another example is The Bachelor, right? I was the opinion editor my sophomore year. And through getting involved and being at an executive level, I got to see the ins and outs of the editorial staff, and I really loved the guys on the group. But I also realized it just wasn't for me. It's just not something I had a passion for as much as pre-law, Wabash Democracy and Public Discourse, Work Council, and other clubs and organizations that I'm a part of. So, yeah, knowing when to get out is really important. And I haven't completely dissociated from either. I still go to basketball games, and I still occasionally, have written a couple articles for The Bachelor in the past couple years. But I think my other big piece of advice is go abroad. It doesn't have to be first semester. I've done immersion trip. I've done a month abroad. I've done conferences abroad, and I've also done a semester abroad. So I've done all of them, and I thoroughly enjoyed every experience and have made amazing friends and relationships, both with peers, professors, people in the Great Lakes Colleges Association and all that. But Wabash is very, very generous and has covered, of my 4 times abroad, I think Wabash covered about 3.5 of the trips, right? So wow. There's not a socioeconomic barrier. If you ask and you look in the right places, those opportunities are here on campus for you. And I mean, I'm always willing to talk to guys, but Noah and I went to Greece together, right? After that, I stayed with some Wabash buds, right? I went to Ireland and studied constitutional law there on a grant. I went abroad for a whole semester, and then through another grant through the New York Times, I was able to go to Greece for a conference for 10 days last semester, right? So it's not, and those might not be the opportunities for each individual, right? Different opportunities are coming up. I know there's a leadership conference now in Morocco that obviously we won't have a chance to be a part of, but for you younger guys, and there's something here for everybody, but there's just amazing opportunities, and kind of like Noah said with the music, you just don't know when your last chance to go abroad and in this setting is going to be, right? You don't know your last chance to play music. So taking advantage of those opportunities when the college is funding them, I think it's really smart, and it allows you to open your horizons and make new friends.
That's really helpful. I like that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and then stretching yourself generally too. I know some guys that were they go to bed at 9 p.m. And they get up at 6 a.m. And they were really regimented, really structured. I tended towards that way a lot of my early on.
It still does.
I still do. But I've learned the value. Okay, you know what? Staying up and BSing with the guys until 11 p.m., watching the basketball game, sacrificing a little bit of sleep, that's good. That was a stretch for me, joining a fraternity. The social aspect of getting myself out there, putting myself in what I would have considered back in high school and early college more uncomfortable situations really grew me a lot. And I know some guys that spend a lot of their time doing the social things. They love all that stuff, but they're a little bit less academically focused, oriented, and organized. And that's where Wabash and college can stretch them too. So finding where college stretches you and leaning into that.
I have one more quickly, if I get one more piece of advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
I found really helpful. It's like the Michael Jordan quote, right? Like, don't be afraid to shoot high and fail high, right? So if you set high aspirations for yourself and you don't quite meet those aspirations, it's unfortunate in a sense, but in another sense, even if you fall just short, you're still at a really high bar. There are a lot of people I know who are scared of failure, and therefore they'll set a low bar because they know they can pass it.
Yeah.
They don't push themselves, kind of like Noah was talking about, right? And so therefore they don't grow. I know we're going to talk a little bit about growth and change, right, over our 4 years, but I think if you shoot for a high bar, if you shoot for Phi Beta Kappa, or you shoot for double distinction, right, even if you fall short, you're still going to grow. You're still going to just demonstrate excellence here, get involved, and do great things, right? And most importantly, I think have fun. So that's my other piece of advice. Shoot high.
Speaking of growing and changing, what is the biggest difference that you've seen in yourselves? Like, what is the biggest difference personally for you guys since you first came here as a freshman to now? How personality wise and kind of outlook wise, like how have you changed over the last 4 years?
I'm a lot more like my mom. My mom, I love my mom. She's awesome, and she's been just amazing support while I've been away. I don't know, it's hard to explain without like knowing her, but a lot of like the things that I pick up on, things I notice more, or things that bother me, just they remind me a lot of her, and that's just really funny, and I know my family would get a kick out of that. I guess the other thing is just flexibility. I would never have imagined joining a fraternity my first semester freshman year. Certainly not roommates. I wanted to be a single room because I'm very particular about my space. I'm certainly not like I am a germaphobe, and Noah and my roommates would laugh at that. But
we do frequently. You need some of that.
At the same time, I'm not like the most. My personal space is not the most organized. It's kind of cluttered, but I have like my own like way around it, and so that kind of precluded me from wanting to pursue having roommates. But now I'm in a room with 3 guys, me and 2 others, 2 guys right next to me, 5 in a suite. I really really love it. That's something I never would have pursued, and same thing with fraternities, right? So where I'm at right now, having 2 roommates, right? I don't think I'll ever have roommates in this sense again, and so it's been a really nice experience, and ultimately something I found to be beneficial.
I think like probably pretty similar to Andrew of just becoming I like that word flexible, of being more dynamic, being more open to different things. Like I could laugh at my freshman self sometimes of like just like needs to have his way, like went with a single for my first 2 years, like had to have everything planned out, like didn't stay up late, like was honestly like afraid of doing things I didn't have control over. So if there was a situation where like I didn't know what was going to happen, that tended to freak me out. And I think Wabash has given me a lot of opportunities. Like my freshman year, I had a bid to Delta Tau Delta, and boom, they're up hanging out till 4 a.m. every night. As soon as I get on campus, I'm freaked out, and then I drop, and then I go to Morris Hall, and then I'm in a group with like 15 other dudes that love hanging out. And I remember hanging out in the basement, and there's guys drinking, and we're playing games, and we're playing cards, and like they're all like, let's go to Steak and Shake. And so I'm a designated driver to go to Steak and Shake. Just like the things that you get to do, the friendships you get to make, the shenanigans you get up to. I remember we took Sarvik's door off its hinges in Morris Hall my freshman year. We ripped it off, put it in the closet, put the closet door that was half the size of the door frame.
For legal purposes, I do not condone this statement.
But like,
oh man,
that like if you'd have told my senior year of high school self I'd have been in that my freshman year, and then doing like what I get to do now, standing on stage playing music. We're gonna do that at a fraternity party later this semester, and we got Ralph's mother coming. Like, that is probably the biggest change for me, is being open to those more risky,
being more flexible.
More flexible, risky, like adventurous, like who knows what's gonna happen kind of things.
And this can kind of serve as another piece of advice, but also a change. Wabash helps you be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? So, I don't know. In most of my time, whether it was in high school, academically, socially, athletically, I was. Oh, this is gonna sound cocky, but like I did really well. I excelled, and I generally wasn't pushed until I went to a private school. Academically, wasn't really pushed. Socially, wasn't put in uncomfortable or new like novel situations, right? But Wabash has a lot of that. You don't have to like all of it. And I certainly don't. But I think it's really an important skill to be in an atmosphere that you aren't in control of others around you, right? And you kind of have to find a way to I almost find this like homeostasis within yourself, but also to know that, look, you can't control what everybody else does.
Yep.
You can only control certain things. You sometimes need to relinquish threats, threats or like other circumstantial realities. At the same time, sometimes you need to know when to like step in and help out or to assert yourself, right? And so there's lots of times, I wouldn't say it's like a daily occurrence, but there's times where I'm in an uncomfortable situation. And I don't know, it's been really beneficial to have practice with that before going out, either to law school, right, and after that into the real world.
And I can echo that sentiment about like high school. Like, I thrived in an unchallenging situation for the most part in high school. There was only a small handful of classes that I took that genuinely were like that I had to focus in and put time towards, some like even outside of school. And in the moment, those classes, I was like, oh man, like why can't they be easy like the other classes? Now looking back on it, I'm thankful for that experience. Like my senior year, I took an English class that was more challenging than any of the other English classes I'd taken before. And at the time, I was like, man, like why did I do this? But now I'm like, that class prepared me more for college than any of the other classes that I took in high school. So now I'm appreciative of that. So I try to think about that more too. Like when I'm like, man, this class is getting difficult, or this, like my schedule for today may be challenging. I try not to think about it in such a negative light. Be like, this could be a good learning experience, how to balance these things, or how to take on this class, and I can take that knowledge into a future class, and things like that.
Yeah.
And then Dever, this is more specifically a question for you because you've been here a little bit longer, but no, you can speak on it as well. But how have you seen this house specifically change in your 4 years here? And in what ways would you say, like,
you want to finish up in an hour, Cook? There's a lot. Look, I initially joined the house because two brothers, specifically Jake Talbert and Lincoln Scott, when I was Peter, when I was a freshman here as an independent, they took an interest, Jake initially and then Lincoln, right, in me. We were all Texans at some level. There's a joke in there for Jake, but and like, I don't know, we just bonded over a love of basketball, love of sports. Lincoln and I are both Cowboys fans, unfortunately, but like,
unfortunately for us as well.
So they brought me in. The house, size wise, initially actually was like 25 when I joined, and then slowly we lost like 9, so we were down to like 13 because we had a couple guys abroad, and the math works out. But like, so obviously the first thing is like now it's a full house, right? We have 30 plus guys, as opposed to 13 my first full semester as a brother. I think the nature and the socialization that's happened has changed a lot. Like Lincoln, Jake, and I got so close because a lot of people were just kind of not even just introverts, but they were recluses, right? They just didn't leave their room, or they were always gone. There was no in between. There weren't a lot of guys at the house. The house is full. We have a dinner tables out there, 30 seats. No less than 2 tables are always filled at lunch, like lunch or dinner. And we have guys who are busy and working all that. We used to like only have 1 table filled, maybe ever, right? Yeah. So I think the main difference is just the fullness of the house, which is great. I think the camaraderie has also improved a lot, right? I've been very fortunate in my time here, whether it was moot court finals or events that I've run, WDPD events, even the panel the other day, the International Perspectives panel that I was running.
Yep.
Wabash, or like Faded Out guys will always show up.
They show out, yeah.
And I think guys always have, but again, it's just more obvious now, and it's more of a commitment that we make people to show up for their brothers. I even, like, for senior day had, Kai McRoberts and Carson Wirtz. They were the guys who walked me out. My family, just being far away, wasn't able to come, it's more than okay. But, like, I had Theta adults there for me. They knew I actually got a couple minutes, but they knew I wasn't going to play much. But it was important to them to be there for me, and I think that's something that's really been emphasized now. And I've been so fortunate to have that experience, and like for Moot Court, for example, like I mentioned, to look out into the audience and see 20 Theta adults there, right? Like that gives me a sense of calmness and sense of support and stability that I think our house. That's, in my opinion, that's the best thing we do for each other.
That support and stability, like, yeah, I think that's important too, and I always try to do my best. Like, if I know a brother has something going on, whether it be Xavier and a few like Jonathan and them with their Glee Club concerts, or when our house bands are doing performances, or when you've got events that you're hosting, or Derek's debate today, presidential debate today. Like, I always try to do my best to be there, because I want them to feel supported, and I know I would want the same thing if I was in their position. I would want them to be there for me as well. So I always try to do that. I try to encourage others to go too. I convinced Nick to come with me today to Derek's debate thing. So yeah, it's really good. And it makes us look better as a house too. Like on campus, like, hey, the Theta adults showed out for their guys. That's really encouraging.
Yeah, and that's what a big part of what attracted me to the house initially. Like, it's a really involved junior. Like, a very good chunk of my friends, most of my friends going to my junior year were older than me. So they'd either graduated the previous spring or getting ready to graduate. And that's where I knew guys like Andrew, Caleb Pear, my pledge father, along with Andrew, Jake Talbert. And then I started...
It's a story.
It's a deep cut. Then getting to know Carter, Carson, Bobby a little bit, and Miles, of seeing them show out to everything. Potters and I got to play on their IM basketball team the year before. And
that was my idea, by the way. But,
it was Theta Delton friends, and we got to see, even then, a lot of the guys showed out. Miles, Carson,
Jake,
Carter,
sometimes.
Jake, Bobby.
Caleb played a little bit, yeah.
A lot of guys would show out even just to watch, and I think there's a lot of that attractiveness there, and knowing that the guys were building up towards something going into junior year. And so I think kind of jumping on the wave of, like, you know what, let's do something with this Theta Del house. It might, at the trajectory it was on, it probably wasn't going to exist in 5 years. So some of me was like, you know what, I want to help leave Wabash better than I found it. Let's try to help build this organization up, make some friends, do some fun stuff. And then I think where we're at now compared to when I joined, like twice as big pretty much. We have double the initiated members now than we did when I was going through new member education. And I think we're working through the bugs in the system of having more people. It's people tend to have their groups more often, like we've got our 5 guys in the suite. Jonathan comes and hangs out a bunch. Mike does. It tends to form a bit more groups, and I think some of the wrestling with that is how do we maintain bigger house cultural cohesion. And we still have a lot of that, showing out to Derek, showing out to the plays and the Glee Club stuff. We still show out, but keeping that total cohesion that we had when we were a smaller house, I think, is going to be the next challenge for the house.
It's why we are trying to grow strategically. I think we've done a really good job of that. There's always the temptation, right? Especially, again, it's a really weird feeling to show up and, there's 13 guys in the house. And I was there, Miles and I had just been initiated. 10 guys either leave or are abroad or whatever, and it's really tempting right now that we have the interest, that we have the bids and the buy-ins, right, to bring in as many people as we can. But I think we've been good, and it's just something that we have to continue to watch, right? Cannot bring in 15, 20 guys.
It's important to find those guys that can fit into and then build upon the house culture. Yeah.
And we don't really have much more space. We're looking at maybe, I would always love for classes to be about 9 to 10 guys a piece, and we don't really have the space to go above 10 per class anyways.
Not really. Because this building, I think, about fits 40 on the first floor. Because it could, as a whole, fit about 75, 80 people.
Yeah.
And the way that it's going, graduating 180 of us and adding potentially another 270 or so.
Yeah.
They're already making the suites in Independence from quads into suites. And so space is going to be tightly packed, probably going to have to prepare for guys to room 5 up again next semester. So that'll always more complications to be had.
Always new challenges.
For sure.
And that's what makes it part of it good. Like, I was an RA, and I never had to deal with this because I always knew every single room was going to be filled. You'd always guarantee like 10 guys would show up to the event you throw. They'd come, they'd grab their food and leave, or maybe it was your 5 buddies. I think I invited Andrew over to a couple of those. And so it adds more variables being in a fraternity, but as Andrew said before, and we were talking about, it makes you more flexible. You have to deal with more things.
All right. And then the last kind of interview question, you guys have already mentioned who and what initially brought you to TDX for the most part, but last thing I want to ask is, like, what has Wabash given you? What is something that you've gotten from Wabash that you believe that you wouldn't have got somewhere else?
Yeah, I think most schools, they make you specialize. I think Wabash has given me the ability to not specialize, right?
Yeah.
And I mean that in the best way possible, right? I certainly have areas that I've spent a lot of my time in, but if I was at a bigger school and I was on the soccer team, would I also be able to be pre-law society president? Probably not.
Probably not, yeah.
And if you could even do those two things, then you probably aren't in a fraternity. You aren't in other clubs, organizations, jobs, etc. So Wabash gives you the experience through that, right? And it also gives you perspective. I think Wabash is a great place. It's a truly unique place. It's not without faults, and I've been pretty critical, and I will continue to be, because I think it needs some overhaul in certain circumstances, especially as a student coming from out of state, right? There's a lot of things Wabash can do better. That's not to say that Wabash hasn't been overall, a really beneficial, positive experience. And I think with it being such a tight-knit community, you get that perspective, you get to talk to guys. It's just not... I think it's just much easier to see that, and I think for me, coming back from being abroad and all that, my eyes have been opened a little bit, and I look forward to helping Wabash continue to grow and improve as an alumni or as alumnus in the future.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think what Wabash does best is the whole liberal arts thing of making a person more diverse in and of himself. Yeah. Because you have to, you can't not interact with people that you either disagree with or come from a different background than. We have a handful of guys in this house from Texas. There have always been, Andrew, and then Misael and
state
Javi.
Right there, but best state, top state.
Shout out Big X the plug.
The best thing to come out of that state. Maybe the biggest thing.
The biggest thing to come out of Texas.
And maybe the largest.
The largest.
The biggest, the largest.
And I think, the interactions you have with different people, the classes you take, the opportunities you get outside the classroom all push you to be a more well-rounded individual. And I think, bigger campuses do specialize you. You focus on one thing, you take all your classes in that. Maybe you take a couple gen eds, like History 1 and English 1 or whatever you take at Purdue, which is the only other school I applied to. But I think what it offers you here is that opportunity to belong to something bigger, to become more well-rounded. I would never in a million years, looking back, have switched my choice. I think Wabash, for those who embrace it, is a fantastic place to be. It's a different place, and it attracts, I think, a certain kind, and it gives a lot of people who wouldn't have the opportunities to shine those sort of opportunities. It does a very good job of... It's not an elite school by any means. It brings in a lot of first gens, a lot of international guys, a lot of people who haven't had a very rich education to this point. The Indiana school system is not fantastic, as we've kind of been talking about already. And Wabash gives guys who wouldn't otherwise have an opportunity to do something to really thrive.
I mean, case in point, you being in a band playing live music. How many other colleges could you have gone to where you would have been in a band?
Yeah, where we can make a club. We make a club. We buy instruments with student funds. Hey, we want to make this club, and then a year later, we get to play music in front of the biggest, the largest.
The biggest, the largest.
It's a a perfect point.
All right, so no cheating now because I got my notes, but and I'll keep it face down while we do this. So I'm sure you guys have seen something similar to, if not the thing itself, but like a game like Whose Fact Is This, right? Something like that. So I'm gonna read you. I went around the house. I collected, I believe it's 12 facts.
All right.
From different members of the house, and I told them, give me a fact that you wouldn't mind them guessing, maybe an obscure fact about yourself. So I'm curious to see. I think some of these you guys will know pretty good, and then some of them you might struggle. Because some I heard I was like, yeah, I know that, or I could have guessed that, and some I was like, that is out there. So
all right.
So what I'll do? I don't have a. I guess I don't have a way of keeping like a point system. You guys can keep your own points if you want.
All right.
But, I want to see if you guys can get it without like multiple choice first.
Okay.
We'll say 2 points if you get it without multiple choice.
Okay.
And then if you don't get it, I'll give you multiple choice and you get 1 point for that.
Okay.
And we'll see who gets the most points by the end. All right, first one. When I was a kid, the only thing I liked to eat was fried okra from Golden Corral specifically.
Oh, man.
What an dude. When he told me that, I was like, wow. Fried okra
from Golden
from Golden Corral. So then I asked a follow-up question. I said, how often did you go to Golden Corral? To which he said, a lot.
Golden Corral. I feel like that's a little bit more of a southern thing, a little bit. I don't think we have many in Indiana, but
It's just really, really oddly specific.
It is a super specific fact.
fried okra. That sounds to me like Aiden or Miles kind of come to mind of something like oddly specific.
I'm gonna go Cade.
Andrew's locking in Cade.
Cade. Who am I gonna lock in here? Oh, that's a tough one. I'll go Miles.
Miles. Okay. Neither of you got it. So here's your multiple choice, okay? I'll give you the 4 other options besides me in the suite. Was it Drake, Deacon, Ian, or Carson?
I'm going Drake.
Drake? And Noah going with Drake. Andrew, what do you think?
Ian.
Going with Ian? Never got it. It was Ian. It was Ian. The only thing he liked to eat as a kid was fried okra from Golden Corral.
Of all the things, that guy won't eat anything other than mac and cheese and cheeseburgers now.
Wild.
Fried okra.
And I've had fried okra. It's not the worst, but like the only food that you want to eat, fried okra, Golden Corral.
I don't know.
We might need to talk to Ian and figure out the explanation.
Yeah, that's a dinner conversation.
Okay. Here's the next one. I have met John Mellencamp's father.
Okay, that's got to be someone in Indiana. That's kind of a cool one. I'm going Carson.
Carson?
Deacon.
Dever got it.
Let's go.
Yeah, that could be Deacon.
It was
All right.
Deacon Green.
Yeah.
3 for me total now.
3 points for Dev. Okay. This one. I once drove my bike into the Mississippi River.
Miles.
Miles?
Once drove his bike in the Mississippi River.
Rode his bike straight into the Mississippi River, he said.
My brother.
It was Kai.
Oh, that's not fair. Oh, that's not fair.
No, I had to get some points on the board.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
I was there. I think he accidentally somersaulted on the bike into the Mississippi
Now,
River.
that's not surprising.
Yeah.
Did he break his ankle?
He did not.
That
at
is
the time.
surprising.
This was before his tall, lanky days.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he said you guys used to ride bikes or whatever, and he said he went down a ramp or something and tumbled right into
We
the
were in
Mississippi.
Arkansas.
And I was like, I never would have pictured someone just driving a bike into the Mississippi River.
See,
He did it.
I went miles, so I'm like, who would be that adventurous with a bike?
Yeah.
But you guys, I know you all lived in Memphis and other
Yep.
places around there. So Little Rock maybe too, right? So
All right, so we got 3-2.
3-2.
Next one. This is a little bit of a darker fact. I asked this person for a fact, and I was like, okay. He said, I am named after my dad's best friend who passed away.
Huh. This is a crapshoot.
Yeah. That's a tougher one. I was like, well, the only way they're going to know that one off the top of their head is if you mentioned that before.
Uh-huh. Oh, I'm gonna guess Gabe McKinney.
Gabe?
I'm gonna guess Nate.
Okay, neither of those were correct.
Okay.
So your multiple choice would be the 4 members of their suite together. Was it Ben, Braden, Derek, or Jonathan?
Jeez. Going Derek.
I was
Derek?
gonna say Derek too.
Derek,
I'm not gonna
both Derek? You both got it. It was
Yeah.
Derek.
All right, yeah.
Derek said he was named after his dad's best friend that passed away. I was like,
Huh.
wow, that's
Wow, that
sad,
is
but also
intense.
cool.
Very
Yeah.
cool though. Carry on the
Yeah.
legacy.
Yeah, carry it on. Okay, this one is a wild fact. This is probably the craziest one that I got. Okay, you're going to have to bear with me on this one. I invented a game, monopolized it, kids began to steal from each other because of it, and then my school banned it. Created a game, monopolized it. Kids began stealing from other kids, and the school shut it down.
I had a similar experience, although I didn't monopolize my game, but that's not me. But that's interesting. Yeah, I did something similar, but school also banned it. But
I think the only game my school banned was outside football because
too many people got hurt.
they had to change it from tackle to 2-hand touch football because there were a few injuries.
Gone soft. School's gone soft.
Yeah, recess we were smearing each other out there on the lawn.
Hit stick every time.
Not to mention we had a kid who like got held back a grade above us, and he was like a big dude at the time. So like when he would tackle you, it would hurt.
Yeah. Golly. I'm gonna go Nick.
Nick
Carter.
No, okay. So was it Josh, Jonathan, Gino, or Drake? One of the freshmen.
Oh.
See, I could see it being any.
I could too. I don't think Jonathan. Drake. I'm going Drake.
Going Drake on that
Gino.
one? Never got it.
Let's
It was
go.
Gino.
Yes.
I asked.
That's such a Gino thing to do. Random.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I asked Gino for a fact, and he told me that. I was like, the only way they're gonna know that is if they're just like, that's just a Gino thing
That's
to
a Gino
say.
thing.
That's a very Gino thing to say.
So that's the game, right? 5-3 right there. It's over.
5-2. No, it needs a little bit of a comeback here.
I should have 3.
Yes, yeah, you got 3.
I got the Derek. Yeah, I got 3.
Yeah, my bad.
I could have
5-3.
Just for an honesty point there.
This is a funny one. I dislike Skittles, and I wrote this down verbatim. This is exactly how he said it. I dislike Skittles because they don't taste good.
Fair enough, I guess.
Oh, that's funny.
Who would talk like that? Carson? I'm going Carson.
Kaufman.
No. Okay. Was it Aiden, Miles,
Oh, man.
Josh, or Javi?
Good grief.
Aiden, going Javi?
Miles.
Miles? No. You got away on this one. It was Josh.
Josh.
Josh said verbatim, I dislike Skittles because they don't taste good.
I could see him say that.
No, Josh.
Which, it's not that hot of a take in my opinion. I'm not the biggest fan of Skittles. I mean, they're fine.
They're okay.
You know, they're all right.
Chocolate's better than sour,
Yeah,
but you know.
Me too.
If anybody from
Chocolate
Skittles is watching, we love Skittles, and we would love a sponsorship with Skittles.
I will do an NIL deal.
I will taste the rainbow for the right price.
Okay.
What do you mean by that?
Football. That's good. That's a meeting.
Hold up.
Okay. This one, I can provide explanation if you guys need it. Although, you guys you've either been from the South or are from the South, so maybe you'll know. But they said my first real job was bean walking.
You're going to have to explain that to me.
No, you know what bean walking is?
I don't think so. I could have an educated guess, but
So he described it as when you go through the rows of a bean field, like a soybean field, and you just pull up the weeds. Apparently that's called bean walking.
Jared.
Jared?
I'll go Javi.
Javi? I like those guesses, but no.
Okay.
All right. Was it Misael, Gabe, Bobby, or Miles?
The safe pick is Misael. But then I could see, like, Miles doing something crazy like that. I'm
I'm gonna go Gabe.
Gabe?
Misael.
Misael?
Yeah.
It was Gabe.
Let's go.
Got it. Gabe's
Well,
first
I know
real job.
Gabe was from a really rural area, so I thought like,
Oh,
I went wrong with the
soybeans.
Jared
Yeah.
pick, so I'm gonna go with something different. So
Could have been soybeans.
All
Yeah.
right.
So
6-3.
6-3.
Mm.
We still got like 5 left, I think. So there's still time for a comeback. All right. This one is probably the biggest gimme on the list. This should be a gimme here. I founded the anime club at my high school.
Xavier Master.
And I would also say Xavier.
Yep, 2 points apiece.
I mean, he told us that. Like
Yeah.
that was like the first thing he
Yeah.
told. Well, among other things, that's one of the first things he told us.
Yeah.
We'll keep the other thing a secret for another time. Shout out
That's
Xavier.
the big reveal, the very last question of the Xavier episode. And then you end it there.
Xavier, what are some hobbies?
Yeah. Oh, man.
All right, so we got 8-5.
Something like that, yeah.
All right. I shook Frank Mervin's hand with my left hand.
I'll go Cade.
Nate.
It was Cade.
Let's go.
Shook Frank Mervin's hand
I
with
don't
his
even
left.
know who that is, but Cade always tries to shake my left hand.
Yep, he said they might know because I always try to shake with my left. So apparently Frank Mervin is like a politician, and he's like on Indiana's he's some like higher up politician in the state of Indiana apparently.
See, I thought Nate because Nate, one, is weird enough to do that, but two,
Yep.
is a lefty. So I was
Yep.
like, oh, well, that makes sense. But
Yep.
no, Kate's never tried to shake my left hand, so maybe I'm just not
He's a
politician-y enough for him.
He's a left-hand shaker,
Ah,
which is just incorrect.
It is.
yeah, that's weird.
I've told him that many times, but he still insists.
But he's not actually a lefty. He's a righty.
He's a righty, but he wants to
yeah.
shake with the lefty.
Interesting.
I
Well-
could make a joke, but I won't.
Well, I gotta lock back in. It's 8-7 now.
8-7. Okay, we still got 3 left. I drive past the McRoberts' house a lot without them knowing.
Oh my goodness.
I'm going with Ethan. Bobby Hill.
Bobby Hill.
I'm gonna go with Nate again.
It was Nate.
Let's go!
Nate, nice.
I knew that. I know. He's told me that before, and he said it with a really creepy smile.
Yeah.
So,
he told
yeah.
me with a creepy smile as
Yep,
well.
yep.
I was like, Nate, can you give me a fact? And he said, I drive past the McRoberts' house a lot without them knowing.
And then he said a smile.
Yeah.
Yep. That's. Yep.
Terrifying,
Him
frankly.
and Bobby both have girlfriends in Lafayette. Those are the two. And you wouldn't drive past our house unless you're going to a specific place in Lafayette.
Yeah. All right. There's still time. It's only a 3-point spread, 2 questions to go. The only soda that I will drink is Dr. Pepper. The only soda this person drinks is Dr. Pepper.
I don't pay that much attention to people's drinks.
It's a tough one. And we don't keep Dr. Pepper around very much. So, so it's somebody that's not off, that's barely drinking soda unless we have Dr. Pepper in the house. This one I did not know, by the way. When he told me, I was like, I would not have known that. Miles?
See, there's a way in which I can just make sure Noah can't beat me, but I don't want to play like that.
Nah.
I was gonna. I mean, I'll go. I don't know what the heck. I'll go Aiden.
It was Aiden.
What?
Aiden. He said the only soda he will drink is Dr. Pepper.
Wow. Well, lucky guess, I guess.
Insult to injury.
I was like, huh. I wouldn't have guessed that. I just wouldn't have.
I guess I would have guessed
But what,
that. Yeah,
what an interesting soda to be your only
I
soda.
know.
Dr.
Yeah.
Pepper.
I mean, I don't know. It's really popular back home in Texas, but I don't know. More of a root beer guy.
Yeah. All right, and the
I
last.
just don't drink soda.
Fair enough. And the last one. I was a white belt, and I beat a yellow belt in Taekwondo.
Could also be Gino, but I don't think we're gonna do duplicates. White belt.
White belt overcame a yellow belt in Taekwondo. A little like Cobra Kai moment there, except not karate.
Man, that's like the Miracle on Ice, but with karate. Or
Fair
something.
enough. Which I didn't even know this person did Taekwondo. I learned that. I was
Okay,
like,
I'm going Carter.
Go
I was
Carter.
going to say Carter, too.
Carter. That is incorrect. All right. Was it Miles, Nick, Misael, or I just blanked on the name. Chris. There we go.
Miles.
You know what? I feel like Chris would do it.
Chris.
There's no way Chris Miles.
It was Chris.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Chris's experience
No
in Taekwondo. I did not know that.
Quote, there's no way that'd be Chris.
There's no way.
What was the final score there?
I think 13-7.
13 to 7. I actually really want to know what to get the one there so I could say Chris Paul hits a 3 to cut the lead to 42.
Big time 3 to cut the lead to 42.
Oh man. Us Mavericks fans can only laugh.
I learned a lot about some of the brothers from
Dude,
that.
that's actually a really good game.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
I was like, Chris, you did Taekwondo? Like, I had no idea.
Wild.
That's crazy.
And he made sure that I clarified. He also in that tournament got first place.
Ooh.
He beat a yellow belt and got first place in that tournament.
Almost. Chris.
Yeah, I also got to learn who Frank Mervan was from doing that. Didn't know who that was.
I'm going to try to see if Cade will shake my left hand.
Go to
He
Kate
will.
off from
I
handshake.
guarantee you he will.
Yeah.
And you will feel nasty the second you did it.
Oh, I agree.
That hand will need to be cut off soon.
All right. So this is a somewhat closing question that I like to ask all the guests that come on the show. What's something you're excited about? Besides, obviously, outside of graduation, we talked about that. But what's something in life or in maybe it be media, sports, whatever it may be that you're excited about upcoming?
I can, for me, it's just family and next steps, right? Like, I'm going home for Holy Friday and for Easter, and that's going to be amazing, right? Not just to celebrate and to kind of have some time away from school to reflect more deeply about important things in my life, right? But just to spend it with my family and to give my lovely girlfriend Elizabeth a shout out with her as well. I think it's just gonna be great. I love you guys here, and I can't wait to spend the next month to 5 weeks with you guys.
I think after this week we have 4 weeks left.
Yeah.
3 weeks of class and finals.
Which is crazy, and hopefully Decadence Week's gonna pan out and all that. I think spending some time with some family this summer. I'm not really gonna do a ton like work wise. Go to maybe a conference or two, do some volunteer work, and just to relax a little bit, do some pleasure reading, and just open a couple good books. Just try to get through them like a book a week, and not have to check my email like 24/7, because that's something that I don't love to do, and I'm gonna have to do my whole entire life. So,
What's your favorite book?
favorite book ever? I mean, I always say the Bible, but like other than the Bible, Sure. I mean, Alfred Camus' The Plague, I think, is the most interesting book I've ever. It's, to sum up really quickly, right? He talks about this doctor in I should know this. I think it's an Algerian town, formerly French colony, right? And there's this plague that goes and kills a lot of people. Happens right after World War II. We read it right after COVID in high school. The question though is it actually a plague or is it a metaphor for Nazism?
Oh,
I've read the book twice. I don't know. And that's the big debate on the book, right? That's a really terrible summary, but it's not like a hard read, but it's a very...
That's fun.
You can read it on multiple layers, and every time you read it, you take something different from it. So that's my favorite book.
Yeah.
Trying to think here. Something that gets me excited. I think like building things, like making things and helping making people better, I think is something. Like when I think about my next steps, I'm looking at companies where their mission is to not necessarily just like make money, but are trying to build systems to make people's lives better, whether it's through... I don't know, like there's a company that I just applied to today that does like personal finance stuff that tries to he's a big name, Dave Ramsey. I applied to be part of his company. He's just, and his whole thing is helping people get their lives on track through finances.
Yeah, he was a part, like a small part of my curriculum. I took a like a personal finance class in
The high school version?
Yep.
I took the same thing.
Yeah, and we had like a Dave Ramsey workbook, and it asked us we'd watch these videos, and it was pretty interesting. He's an interesting fellow.
I'm gonna say this is in Indiana. I've never heard of this before.
You don't know Dave Ramsey?
I do not.
He's
know Dave
based
Ramsey.
out of Nashville, and that's mainly where I'm looking right now. But doing collaborative things with people who have a lot of energy that want to make people's lives better with their products, with their ideas, like that, starting the podcast in the first place here at They Did It was like one of those kind of things. It's like, man, how can we connect alumni and people better that They Did It? Boom, here's this thing. Like, we're getting all these people on it. Brian Burgess, like, he's trying to help out with it. Boom, we got this. Those are the kind of things that get me amped up.
Yeah, for sure. Also, Dever, like Dave Ramsey, imagine Dr. Phil. Mm-hmm. But instead of being a fake doctor, he is really smart with his money.
Okay.
That's about how I can describe Dave Ramsey.
Fair enough.
In appearance, too. I mean, he looks strikingly like Dr. Phil.
Handsome man.
Also, the book topic. How often do you read like fantasy type books?
When I was younger, like I would read Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Percy Jackson. No, I'm much more now into theology, philosophy, classics, history. But a good book is a good book.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's I don't know how much if I read it again, I don't know how I'd react to it. But years ago, I read a book series. It's like the only one that I remember keeping me grabbed the whole time. It was called Fablehaven.
I think I've heard of it.
Fablehaven is absolutely, at least right now, my favorite book series. It's like a series of books. I think it's 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
It is incredibly good.
Very nice. Do you ever read 39 Clues?
I don't think so, but I have heard of it, and other people that I know are you should read it, but I haven't got
it's it's a combination of the secret society that kind of tries to keep order and maintain history, but then these people who go back in time and try to change essential or seminal events to actually represent what history is in our conception. And now there's a lot of them, but I remember one where they go back and I fight the Vikings, and these evil agents basically go and make sure that the Vikings win, the French lose, and it changes everything. And ultimately it was a really good series. Not not a high level read, but I don't know, very intriguing. But there's a lot of the books. I don't remember how many, but I remember I got a big package.
Big collection.
Yeah, a good collection.
No, what's your favorite book or book series?
Oh, book series from childhood definitely would have been probably the Heroes of Olympus, the kind of sequel to the Percy Jackson series.
Pretty good.
The problem is that was probably 9 to 12 years old. It's that region. I forget. It would have been one of those years that I tore through every book that I ever read. So a lot of those books, the Harry Potters, Artemis Fowl's another one that I had read. The Beyonders was another one. There's a bunch of those that I read all in that span. But a favorite book, nonfiction. There was a book that I read probably maybe a year or 2 ago called The Wonder of Boys. How teachers and parents and politicians, I forget the subtitle, but how they can help boys become men, well-developed, extraordinary men or something of that sort.
Grow up. Yeah.
Yes, it's a lot of growing up, developmental, coming of age stuff that I thought was really, really interesting. I just picked it up because I thought it looked interesting, and that was a really, really interesting book that Wabash did an article on me talking about stories, and a lot of my interest in stories started with that book.
Okay. Yeah. There was another book that I heard about recently that's I think similar to that, but now I can't remember the name, so oh well. But if it comes to me, I'll let you know.
Could it be Of Boys and Men?
Maybe that was it. Who's that by?
Richard Reeves.
That sounds familiar. Okay. Yeah, I think one of my family members mentioned that was coming out, and they were
it's a new book.
They were looking forward to reading it or something like that.
Yeah, we had him visit here last year. Richard Reeves. I think it was probably. Were you abroad last spring?
I was abroad last spring.
I think it was that semester. He's one of the world's leading researchers on young men right now, and the things that it's going well for young men, where it's struggling, and all that stuff. Really interesting stuff.
All right, what's our timestamp looking like? Oh, we're like basically right at the hour mark.
Very nice.
Yeah. So
Any final questions for us, Cook?
I can't.
Something crazy like ice cream flavor or something.
Yeah. What is the last movie that you saw, and what was your thoughts on it? Because the last movie I saw was the Minecraft movie, and we don't have enough time in the day to talk about that movie.
Last.
If you're still thinking, I know mine.
Yeah.
Mine was the Truman Show. We watched it last weekend.
Oh, yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, and I had heard a ton about it. It's like one of those like iconic shows. Of course, it's Jim Carrey, and he's really goofy. But it's an extremely interesting concept, a little bit Matrix-like. I heard it was...
it's very meta.
Yes, very meta, and I think from a conceptual standpoint was really interesting. I don't think they pulled it off fantastically. I didn't feel like severely impacted one way or the other about the movie. So I think it was very interesting. But I don't think it was a fantastic movie.
I'll say that's a little bit of a hot take. I feel like I love the Truman Show. I mean, that's not the last movie I watched, but I thought it was great. Yeah, I've actually been to the place in Florida where they filmed it.
That's
right at School Beach. But actually, funny that you mentioned that, because I was at this conference in Chicago over the weekend, just called Midwestern Political Science Association. Wasn't presenting or anything, but going and attending talks and panels and interacting with professors and teachers and et cetera. But we had a long day. I probably learned about 15 or 20 papers. Went to a couple other things, a couple activities. So I went back to the hotel and almost crashed. But I was pretty tired, and I was waiting for my girlfriend to call me. So I just turned on the TV, and it was Thor Ragnarok. And I didn't watch. I mean, I probably got in halfway through, so I watched the second half of the movie. But it was good. It was before Marvel fell off.
I was gonna say, I haven't watched many Marvel movies, but from what I've heard, it's one of the last good ones, apparently.
Yeah, it's kind of that transition period from Marvel going way too much into the meta, we are the MCU, playing with all those weird MCU, we are the MCU things.
Yeah, and the multiverse and stuff.
Yes, and the funny Thor.
As Michael Scott always says, KISS, keep it simple, stupid, right? They initially kept it really simple. 6 major heroes, base it around them, bring in other people that then became really popular, then all of them versus Thanos eventually, right? But now they've just branched out, and they're having movies and shows about characters.
Every single person they put on screen.
Yeah, most of those characters, even the actors who play them, are actually really well respected and liked. I mean, I can think of Ant-Man, right? The original Ant-Man movies were really good.
Yep.
I know the most recent one that came out, I thought it was really okay, bad. But
really
people
bad.
I saw it's the Quantumania one, right? Yeah. I heard that got bad reviews.
Yeah,
it was really bad.
But Paul Rudd's a great actor. It just it wasn't maximizing his potential. Whereas the first 2 Ant-Man movies did really, really well, because it really put him in a central role. It was building up his character, and I think also now people just don't care. Thanos was the big thing. I mean, I think people were waiting for that for 5, 6, 7 years, right? Then we had the first movie. It was good. It was really, really good. You had the second, right? You had Endgame and Infinity War, right? I don't know. I love movies. I love Marvel movies. I'm not really the biggest comic book person, but yeah, that was the last movie I've seen.
One of the biggest complaints that I've heard with Marvel lately is people say that they use too many full feature length movies to set up for another one.
Yes.
It's almost like this 2-hour movie is just a teaser for another upcoming bigger movie or something.
Imagine Mission Impossible, right, with Tom Cruise. They just did this too, right? They have a 2.5-hour movie, and now they're releasing in May another 2.5-hour movie.
Yeah.
But what this does is then it makes you go back and watch the first 2.5-hour movie. Because I'm not gonna lie, I don't exactly remember what happened in the first movie.
Yeah.
They literally left it at a cliffhanger. And I think that was obviously supposed to be ironic, but. Now you gotta go back and watch. I think the thing with Marvel is you can't do that. Nobody's going back and watching 8 2-hour movies to prep themselves for. Yeah. So I'm out of the loop. So when the newest movies come out, I just don't care.
Yeah. Well, and they didn't build up any connection to the characters that are left. You might have stuck up with it. Like, I remember our family did, like, in prep for, like, Infinity War and Endgame. We went and watched some of the older movies, but... Like, we had been around them for 10 years. Now it's like all these characters who have been around for a year or two, and no one knows them and anything.
It was just a trip with friends. Like, it wasn't something that I like wanted to do. But I went and saw Morbius when it came out.
Oh no. Talk to Miles.
I never watched it, but I just remember the only thing anyone took away from that was it's Morbin time.
It's Morbin time. It is indeed Morbin time, dude.
Yeah, never bothered.
No, that movie was quite silly. I thought. I was like, it was fun because I went with friends though. Because afterwards we were like laughing about
just joke about it.
We just dropped like $20 on a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
All right, we could talk about Marvel all day, but thank you guys so much for coming on this episode.
We finally did it.
We finally found the time to get her done. I appreciate the wisdom and the talking about future, even though probably a little intimidating coming up soon, getting thrown to the fire relatively soon. But thank you guys for finding the time to be on this episode. Thank you everybody watching this for watching. Appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe, comment who you want to see on more episodes, because I've got 2 episodes planned. If we have free time, we can do other ones, so leave below who you want to see on an episode comment section. Other than that, thank you all so much for watching.
Thanks,
like I said,
Ethan.
thank you guys for coming on the show.
Yes, been a pleasure.
I'm not gonna shake with my left hand like Cade.
Yep.
I'm not gonna do it,
man.
And to everybody watching, miss you, love you, bye.